Hello class. Today we're going to look at a new technique in our editing abilities. We're going to look at doing a spot focus using Photoshop to create. It's a digital enhancement to our pictures. But before we go there, I want to show you what it looks like to work with the camera and to create the same look. Often it's better doing a natural look using the focusing on the camera. So we'll take a look. If you could go into our internet, and we'll just expand our window a little bit here, and we'll go down to my website. So we're going to the bottom, we're going to go to photo portfolios, and we're going to look at whichever block you're in. I'm going to go to A block and go to Mr. Radit. So I've already added some to my website, and hopefully you've been working on your website and making it better than mine. So I've taken my logo, or just put my picture in the top here, and I've created all my links right here. Some of my links, as you can see when I move over portfolio, all my different styles and assignments are listed there. I've created a new one called Lessons, which is where you'll find this video, but you don't have to add this to your website. Of course, you just do your portfolio for the different things that you've done in your classes. Also, I've put a place called Web Resources, where you're going to find a bunch of buttons here on the different aspects of our course that you should be aware of. Rule of thirds, what is a DSLR camera, exposure triangle, the shutter speed, f-stop, ISO, all those things that we've discussed. You can see a video on if you click on those links here. And so let's take a look right now. I said that I had already done some of these spot focuses. So if I go down to my spot focus right here, it'll open up my page, and we'll go down and take a look at my slideshow. And we will pause and we will go through. And as you can see here, if you have the right kind of lens and the right settings, usually in automatic mode you can get the same effect. But we have some leaves on a branch which are clearly focused, and there's trees in the background, and they are quite a distance. And because I zoomed in on these leaves right here, the background is quite blurry. So that's a good way to do it, is by zooming in and getting close to your subject with your background quite a bit further in the distance. The closer your background is, the more it's clear it's going to be. Take a look at the next one. Same thing. There's a squirrel. You can see the blurry background. There's a duck, and because the weeds in the background here, little grass, is kind of close, you can see it. It's not real blurry, but it is a little bit, and you can tell what it is. But the main focal point is the duck on the rock, and it is super clear, and everything else behind it is blurry. And that's the effect we're working with to create this same kind of effect. Okay, so that is spot focus. Again, these are all taken using the camera, created using the camera. And if you zoom in and focus on one object, your main object, then everything else, if it's at a distance behind your subject, should be blurry. Okay, so now let's go back to our Photoshop program, and we'll do a digital spot focus. Okay, how to create it using Photoshop. So first we need to find an appropriate photo. So I'm going to go into my photos down here. I've got already, and I've taken a picture of this brown bear, and we're looking at getting pretty close to him. Let's take this one right here. So I'll drag it onto my canvas and let go, and here it is. Okay, so this was coming back from Pine Creek at one point, and we saw a bear in the ditch, and we had to take a picture of it and ended up. So here's what we're going to do. So first thing we do is we need to decide what part of this animal do we want clear. We could cut it out any way we want. We can cut it out in the form of a circle or a rectangle. We could cut it out like this, just making a rectangle, but you're going to see the edges. It won't look good. You can hold down, go to elliptical, and you could make it into an oval like this. And again, you're going to see clear in here and then blurry outside, so it might be an area where it won't look too good. Or you can get out of these altogether, and you can come down and you can choose your lasso to do a rough one, or you can do polygonal, or even magnetic. But what I recommend is that you go to Object Selection Tool. Know that you just make a selection around, make a box around your main subject here. And right away we can see that it did a very good job at selecting it. So what we'll do then is we'll right click, and before we make a new layer, what we'll do is we'll give it a bit of a feathering look. So we're going to go to feather. It softens the outside edge. Okay, so we're going to go to feather, and let's make it around 30%. 30 pixels are going to be affected by this. Okay, we're going to click OK. The effect is there. You don't notice it, but it is. Now if we right click on it and we layer via copy, there. Alright, I'm going to go back to the move tool to make sure I'm in the right area. If we hide the background, you can see with that blur effect right there, that feathering look on our subject. Perfect. And we'll put this back. Now we want this bear to be super clear, which it is, but we want the grass to be more blurry than it is. So in order to modify the background layer, there's two things you gotta do. You can either take out the lock by clicking on it, or you can drag that layer down to the plus, hide that lock layer, and now you have a layer that can be edited. So we're gonna do that. The other option again is to just disable the lock, which allows you to edit that layer. So right now we're on background copy layer. I'm going to just rename that by double clicking. I'm going to call this blur layer. Blur layer, just so that we know what it is. And I'll double click here. Bear layer. Okay, and many of you may not know that, but if you're making a lot of layers and you want to identify them quickly, you can just double click where the text is and you can change the name of the layers. So let's go back. Now we need to select the background layer because that's what's going to be blurry. And it's very simple. All we do is go to filter at the top. We come down to blur, and we come across and down to Gaussian blur. When we click on Gaussian blur, you're going to see if the preview button is selected, and it is right here, you're going to see what happens with the grass. And you can see right here, because it's not selected right there, just outside it is. So it's already looking blurry. If I drag it way down, you're going to see that it totally changes everything. Alright, so we'll move it back. We don't want it to be all out of whack. We want it to be just a little bit blurry. Maybe a little bit like this. And perfect. I'm going to click OK. Now you might see areas where it's still not looking good, like where the grass comes up. You can see it goes from blurred to really clear. And to do the fix on that, what I recommend is that you come into a tool right here called the Blur tool. So this allows us to select certain areas to blur. So I'm going to increase the size. Again, you can do it one of two ways. Click right here, increase the size like this, drag it up. Click out in the dark and then come in, and then you can do that, or you can hit after the P. The left bracket makes it smaller, the right bracket makes it bigger. So I'm going to make sure that I'm on the right layer. First of all, I need to be on the bear itself, so there's the top layer, the bear, and then I'm going to start to drag. We'll make sure our strength is close to 100 right here, and lighten. We're going to go normal. And then I'm going to drag up just to where the grass is, and it's like I'm coloring or painting, and you're going to see that that area now starts to get blurry because we can't have the strains of grass looking like they don't belong. And while I'm doing it, I'm going to go right on the outside edge of the bear for any areas that we might have missed. And I'm going to zoom in and take a look at it, and just going to get the edge of the bear so that it has a consistency. It looks normal, because if we don't do this, you're going to see big discrepancy in it. So part of our bear should look blurry as well. Okay, so there we go. We've created a little bit more of a blur. All the grass that's come up around the legs is now equally as blurry as the grass that's down below. I'm just going to come up a little bit like this. There you go, up and down. And then Control 0 will get you back to full view. Here we go. We're in our finished, we've made the background grass here nice and blurry, and we left the bear nice and clear. And that is our spot focus. Make sure you save by going File, Save As, and put it into your assignment folder, which is in Groups. Okay, thank you for watching, and pretty soon again I'll have another video. Have a good day.